Okay, Mike, you should be good to go.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Get my PowerPoint up here. Okay, can you see my screen? Ryan, can you see the Microsoft PowerPoint?
Yes, I can. If you want to enter full screen, I can see your screen.
All right, thank you. All righty. So as Ryan said, my name is Michael Judd. I am the account manager on behalf of the city of Chicago with Gordian, and we manage the job order contracting program. That is one of the Chicago construction initiatives that City of Chicago procures. So what we will be doing is going through pretty much the overview of what job order contracting is, the job order contracting process, benefits to JOC for prime contractors and subcontractors, bidding as a brief overview of how to bid on a JOC contract within the city of Chicago, wrap up with a couple of review and key points, and have an open discussion if there's any Q&A, which, as procurement had noted, please put in the chat as to the host and presenter. So a brief overview of job order contracting. Before the city of Chicago even used JOC, the federal government utilized it in the 1980s. Chicago saw what we had been doing with them and established their own program ever since 1990. And ever since then, there's been over 2,000 job order contracts used nationwide with close to $2 billion worth of volume constructed through job order contracting. And those are a couple of awards, the NIGP Best of the Best to the Miami Beach, and then one recently within the last few years, home at Cook County, receiving the NACO Award. So this has been around for a while, and it's a pretty substantial program that Chicago uses to procure their work. So what is JOC? JOC is a firm fixed price that's competitive bid and definite quantity delivery method designed to produce a large number of multi-traded repair and rehab projects, as well as minor new construction projects. So we understand it's a mouthful, that's a huge definition. So we like to break it down into three categories. The first one being that JOC is a firm fixed price. So what that includes is what we call the construction task catalog, which includes pre-priced work tasks that contractors bid on at the time of bid, which is a perfect transition to how it's bid. All bidders or contractors must submit a set of adjustment factors to those fixed prices. So you would analyze the prices in the book, see whether you need to increase your prices in your adjustment factor or decrease it based on those prices in the book. And we'll go through all of that here in a little while. But what JOC is unique about is that it's an indefinite quantity contract. So there are no projects that are identified right away at the time of bidding. The contract is for a fixed term with a user department. So we'll get into some of the departments that use job order contracting, but Department of Water Management, Department of Transportation, once they have a JOC contractor, they have a volume limit that they can assign projects to at any point instead of a traditional bid process, which you'll see here soon on this slide here. It's just another delivery method that the city uses. It's not meant to replace any procurement method, but it's a supplement to the city for projects that need to get done very quickly. So here you see there's in-house trades that the city uses, traditional bid, like I have just previously mentioned, term agreements, and then us, our group, job order contracting. So pretty much the five-step process that JOC is once a contractor is awarded a JOC contract. In summary, these five steps here, where a contractor would go to a joint scope meeting once, let's say, the Department of Water Management assigns you a project. Then you would talk about the scope of work, finalize the scope, and the department would issue you a request for proposal, where we would move to step 3. You would build your proposal by using those preset work tasks in the construction task catalog. You would send that proposal back to the department in our eGordian-based software, which I will also get into in a little while, where they will review it, ensure that all scope items are covered, and then finally issue a job order. So as I was talking about that indefinite quantity, those job orders can be assigned to you at any time throughout the duration of the contract, up to a certain volume amount. What's also unique about job order contracting is that it is performance based. So job order contracts, once a minimum value is reached, a certain dependence of performance is really depending on how you get projects in future. So there is a contract minimum, usually it's about $25,000, where the city of Chicago has to issue you your work. After $25,000, if depending on these items that you're seeing here, if you're not performing based on the terms of the contract, they do not have to sign you more work. That is also a unique and important role of job order contracting, is if you're performing well, it's a result of volume and you will get more work. And these are the criteria that are usually in our job contracts. Your responsiveness of the contractor, rated on not only the project development phase, but also through construction and officially closing out the project and each and every project that you have. And then we break that down into helping and assisting the city with scope definition. Contractors are the subject matter experts. You ultimately decide with the owner what would be the best means and methods to get the construction done, and submitting timely and accurate price proposals through our eGordian software so that the city can keep churning projects out to you as needed. And then the construction phase, timely startup, mobilizing very quickly, effective management of your work crew, which also will include subcontractors because there are subcontracting opportunities, and ensuring the project is construction according to all specifications and code requirements in the city. It's also dependent on your success in developing a partnership with that department or owner. And it depends really on your accurate adjustment factor that you submit at the time of bid before you get job contract projects, and a quality staff, because you can get assigned more than one project at a time. These are the actual measurable performance standards that are issued in each contract: quality price proposals, timely price proposals, timely construction, quality construction, and as I alluded to with subcontracting opportunities, achievement of M&WBE goals and achievement of self-performance goals. All of these are official criteria that the city utilizes when they have a job contract and goes through the base term to evaluate if they will be extended in their option years. So the benefits to JOC, not only is the prime but sub. First, we'll go with the prime contractor. JOC can be very profitable for you. As I mentioned at the performance section, profit is a function of volume, since it's not just one traditional bid job that may take a year or two to construct. JOC is an IDIQ contract where you can get multiple projects at one time, and ultimately that volume is driven by your performance. If you can continue to churn projects out for the city of Chicago, they will continue to assign you more work, which leads to a steady flow of work. You do not have to chase any projects because they come to you since you already have a contract with the city. So anytime they have some sort of emergency or urgent project that they'd like to get done, you will be the first one they call, because that is what the JOC contract is intended to be with the city for. Also, you develop as a prime a long-term relationship with the city. So you really want to gear towards having a non-adversarial relationship and develop that partnership with the city so that you can continue to get that steady flow of work. And finally, it's professionally rewarding. There's different project types. Obviously, I alluded to transportation and water management. Even within their own departments, there's plenty of different scopes of work that can be professionally rewarding to you as a prime contractor. And you have the ability to make a difference. You have the ability to provide input during the scope development. So if you see that maybe the brief scope is not detailed enough and they need your expertise, they will rely on you to come up with a great means and methods and a long-term solution for the city. Just as prime contractors have the benefits to JOC, there are also huge benefits for subcontractors to sub to prime contractors on individual job orders. As I mentioned, there's no projects identified at the time of bidding. So the prime contractor doesn't know what they're going to get. right? So they can't staff up enough right away in order to self-perform everything. As you know, there's general contractors that maybe do one or two trades, and the rest of the trades they need to subcontract to. So that leads to increased subcontracting opportunities because they have to have a utilized subcontracting community and hit their M&WBE goals. There are set goals in the prime contractors contracts. That's a huge minority and women-owned business initiative that can help you as a sub do work with a prime contractor. It's also a simplified procurement process to allow them to procure more work in a shorter period of time. Since we went through that brief 5-step process, it is intended to get work done at a much faster, quicker pace. And as I mentioned, there's multiple projects on multiple sites simultaneously. The prime might not have enough self-performance to be able to get all of the work done at once. That's where they're going to have to subcontract to you. So there's huge opportunities for not only prime contractors, but subcontractors as well. So as a subcontractor, if you're not going to be the prime on a contract, then contact the prime contractors who have job contracts and establish that relationship, because they're always looking for subcontractors to help them perform their work under the job contracts. And there's a variety of methods that subcontractors can do that for. They may ask you for a lump sum quote for that scope of work. They may ask you for a lump sum quote with some sort of material breakdown. They might even ask you to provide a lump sum quote with that breakdown and CSI numbers from the construction task catalog. However, you are not bound or contractually required to abide by the prices in the CTC. The subcontractor agreement is between the subcontractor and the prime. It's not the subcontractor and the city. The prime contractor is ultimately responsible for that contract with the city, which means the subcontractor is not bound to those prices. You can still submit your prices to the general contractor however you see fit, but ultimately they may ask you a couple different forms of providing a proposal for that scope of work. As contracts are even advertised, it probably is a very good idea, and I've actually had this conversation with quite a few subcontractors. Even though if you're not comfortable enough going for a job contract right now, if there's a job contract that's being advertised on the street, go download the specifications. It doesn't mean that you're going to submit a bid. It just means that you're going to be able to get a copy of the CTC for that department and start familiarizing yourself with what job order contracting actually is and what prime contractors are getting paid for specific work tasks. So that is a benefit to you. You can download the bid specifications and have it since it's a PDF. To wrap it up, JOC is a performance-based system that requires high quality construction. They will, like I said, depend on those subcontractors to perform their scopes of work because the prime contractor is ultimately evaluated. So moving into bidding, very general tip of the iceberg bidding process. We'll go through a couple of steps how to do it. But really, it's two parts, like I sort of alluded to earlier. The first step would be bidding the umbrella job contract. So that is once the owner advertises the job contract out on the street through DPS, contractors would download those bid specifications, go through the proposal process of that contract, and then submit all of the adjustment factor bids. The owner then would award that umbrella job contract, meaning once part one is completed, then part two can happen, which is the procurement of individual projects by that owner. So once you're awarded the contract, it's an IDIQ based on a CTC. You can get several project opportunities, both as the prime and subcontractor once that contract is awarded. So when you go to download all of the bid specifications, you'll notice there are 4 or 5 books, depending on the client. Book 1 is the instructions to bidders and execution documents. Book 2 is the city's general conditions and the JOC special conditions. Book 3 is the CTC that we've been talking about so far today. Book 4 are the technical specifications that tie to Book 3. And then Book 5 is dependent on the owner. The client may also have their own specifications that they include in the JOC bid as well. So Book 1 really is laying out the instructions of how to bid that specific JOC contract. Book 2 are the pretty much rules that you will have to abide by. Book 3 is the preset task pricing. Book 4 are the specifications to that. And then book 5, specifications by that department if they have one at that time. What we'll be talking about pretty much is book 3, which is the catalog of pre-priced construction tasks. It's organized by CSI master format, and all prices include local labor, equipment, and material. So that is one of the key differences of job order contracting. It's not an estimating system. It includes labor, equipment, and material, and your proposals are going to be based off these prices in the book. What's also very unique is that it's customized for the city's tasks and standards. Each department has their own unique tasks and standards that they abide by. And then, as I've alluded to several times, prices are fixed throughout the entire duration of the contract. What does change is the adjustment factor, and I will get into that here in a few slides. But what you'll find is when you download these books and you come across book 3, thousands of pages can include this screenshot here, which is pretty much how the book is set up for you. You'll see at the top, we use the screenshot of exterior improvements a lot, where we have bases, ballast, and paving. You can see going from left to right, it's organized by that CSI master format, where under there, we're working specifically under the curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and driveways. And it's in small text, but it also includes everything in that note. So demolition, including saw cuts, gutters for lengths up to 100 feet, and then the item description at the bottom. So it's the full description of the task. So under that CSI number, under linear feet, 6 by 12-inch cast in place concrete curb, that is what it includes. It includes the delivered concrete, forms, rebar, expansion joints, etc. Underneath that, just as there's an economy of scale when you go to the store or just procure work in general, there are modifiers for variations of quantity discounts or increases. You can see both of those in this line item. You can see that there are increases based on the unit price to the right. For up to 20 linear feet, it's an extra $4 a linear foot. If you have over 1,000 linear feet, then it's a deduct of $1.50 or $1.50 per linear foot. So you want to really look into and investigate the CTC as you go through your bids and get familiar with job order contracting. And like I said, the price on the left is the total direct unit cost, the $7.18 that is to install. And if the owner wants you to demo, you can also demo for $3.23 a linear foot. So that is how the CTC is based in the city of Chicago and in JOC in general. When you do bid, in the CTC, you want to determine your direct costs, right? So you want to analyze the CTC and specifications and its completeness and clarity. You want to review the CTC pricing against direct costs that you have for accomplishing that kind of work. A couple of things you need to know is that the CTC pricing does not include subcontractor overhead and profit. So a question that you have to ask is, do you have to increase your adjustment factor to cover their and your direct costs? And it depends on the amount of self-performance work as a prime that you're going to do versus subcontracting that work out. Step 2 would be determining your overhead costs and profit expectations. So that would include covering bonding, insurance, etc., offices, because that stuff is included in your adjustment factor. You cannot build that in the proposal. So that is what the competitive bid aspect is all about. Step 3, there are 2 sets of adjustment factors that a prime submits. One is normal working hours. One is other than normal working hours, which is pretty much overtime. So those factors get applied to all work tasks in the CTC once you submit a set of bids, which will ultimately go on your price proposal. And those factors must include those direct costs, overhead, and profit, and you cannot exclude any of those tasks. And then step 4, you want to specify equal employment opportunity commitments and determine the award criteria. All the bid forms in book 1 will walk you through those calculations, but the award criteria figure is ultimately what is the lowest bidder and who is awarded the JOC contract. So just to kind of break it down, The preferred method for analyzing the price in the CTC versus your costs is kind of walking through the process in this example only. So you want to select a comparable project from your files that you've done recently. We would highly suggest more than one. So the example that we give is, let's say this project you selected paid you $82,323. When you build a price proposal from the CTC with the prices that are in there and a factor of 1, which means there's no adjustment up or down yet, let's say your prices from the CTC come down or come up to $75,746. So clearly you did a job for $82,000 that you felt comfortable, but the CTC is giving you $75,000 using those unit price tasks. That is how you calculate your adjustment factor. So if you were satisfied with that $82,000, which covered the entire job, overhead costs, profit, direct costs, etc., you would need to apply an adjustment factor of 1.0868. So you would need to up the CTC by 8%, which would be an adjustment factor of 1.08. That is how you come to your normal working hours and other normal working hours factors. And as I said, you do not want to stop there. You should be applying this logic on more than one project, on several projects. It's for you to feel comfortable with submitting a factor to the city that you would be held to. This is an example of how to do that. We do not offer the eGordian software at the time of bid. The software is only available to the contractor once they've been awarded a contract. However, if you want to compare the CTC versus your jobs, this is an example of an Excel spreadsheet used to analyze the pricing. You can kind of see the CSI number, the description, the unit of measure, the quantity, unit price, the adjustment factor at a flat 1 rate, and then the line total, which brings you down to a total quantity cost. That's how you could build a proposal by downloading the specifications from eProcurement. So just some tips. As I said, it was a very tip of the iceberg explanation of how to bid on a job contract using adjustment factors. You really just want to make sure that you bid correctly. You want to anticipate the type of work that the city expects from you. For example, like I've said already, Department of Water Management is going to be different scopes than Department of Transportation. Water and highways are completely different scopes of work. So it really depends on the contract that you are comfortable bidding for. You want to sort of anticipate what work is expected of you. At the pre-bid meeting, they're not mandatory, but there are slides detailing the type of work used. It's not going to give you exact jobs, but we will give details of the type of work used for that contract. And at the end of the day, you want to analyze the prices from the preset tasks in the CTC versus your costs, run several sample projects, and then determine the factors required to adjust those prices to cover all of the ancillary costs that are not included in the book or proposals. The other big point is that you want to staff correctly. As I mentioned, you can get several projects at one time. The city is dependent on you to accomplish those work tasks and construction as quickly as possible. So you want to make sure that you're staffed correctly. And really, the bid factors and the quality of staff affect whether or not you'll be able to meet the performance standards that we talked about earlier today. So please, hopefully this has helped get you involved. You want to analyze the job programs in the city area, in the city of Chicago, identify those programs whose scope of work relates to your own. For the prime contractors, analyze the prices in the CTC and develop accurate adjustment factors at the time of bidding. For subcontractors, establish that relationship with those prime contractors currently on the contract. So as a brief review, these are the 5 steps again of what a job order contracting project is. JOC has benefits for all parties, not only for prime and subcontractors, but obviously for owners in the city of Chicago. Performance is based on the amount of work that you'll get as the contractor. And for subs, be aware of those methods to submit a quote to the GC. They can ask you to submit any way that they see fit. However, it's up to you to ultimately submit what you're comfortable submitting. These are the Chicago departments that have a JOC program. As you can see, AAS has a couple: aviation, water management, Department of Housing, CDOT, and Office of Emergency Management, which is going through a branding change here shortly, but right now they are OEMC. Those are the JOC programs within the city of Chicago. There are Chicagoland area JOC programs. We will not be talking about these today because this is a City of Chicago Department of Procurement Services workshop. There are procedures at other agencies that are going to be different than Chicago, but to find the advertisements and JOC opportunities on this list, look at their website. The city does not provide opportunities on these Chicago programs because, like I said, it's City of Chicago Procurement Services. So to find more information, you want to sign up for DPS alerts by going to Procurement's website. When you go to the website, you would go to that link, and under bid proposal information, you click on the current bids and request for proposal. That's where you would find the JOC opportunities. And you also want to check the newspaper that Ryan alluded to, the Chicago Tribune. And to wrap up the JOC presentation, Byron Whitaker is the Deputy Procurement Officer. Freeman Banks is a colleague of mine with the City of Chicago. And then finally, that's my contact information there if you have any questions. That would wrap up my portion.
Thank you, Michael. Everyone, before we move on to the Q&A portion of the event, I did want to acknowledge and apologize that you weren't able to hear from Byron on the process for contracting opportunities in construction and bid and incentive programs. However, I will note that DPS does host these workshops on a recurring basis. So if you email me at ryan.gage, that's ryan.gage at cityofchicago.org, and I also drop that both in the chat window and in the QA panel, I will make sure that we either schedule a session so you can hear from Byron or someone on his staff on his part of the presentation today. And I will also ensure that if I can get it to you, that we find a previous stream of this particular workshop on our YouTube page. If you email me that question or request, I'll make sure that you get that information. So with that, I am going to open it up to any questions. So again, if you have a question, you can type it either in the QA panel or in the chat panel. And we'll just give everyone here a few minutes who's on with us to type a question if they want, and hopefully myself or Mike can point you in the right direction. And if not, like I said, due to some technical hiccups today, if you have any follow-ups after this, you can feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, Lauren, for joining. Seeing no questions, I am going to move on. Just want to let you know that you can find us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. All of those platforms, you can find us at Chicago DPS. You can also find us on the web at cityofchicago.org/DPS. And we would like to thank everyone for attending. Please continue to follow us on social and on our website and through our DPS alerts so you can learn more about programs, initiatives, and workshop opportunities going forward. And with that, we will conclude today's presentation. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you, everyone.